For years, people repeated the same phrase. Money can't buy happiness. And technically, that's true. Money cannot buy genuine love. It cannot buy inner purpose. It cannot erase loneliness. But here's what many people who say that phrase ignore. Money can buy peace. And peace changes everything. Because there's a huge difference between trying to find happiness while your bills are unpaid, and trying to find happiness when your basic needs are secure. A huge difference between sleeping peacefully and lying awake at 2 a.m. wondering how you'll survive next month. People who have never experienced real financial stress often underestimate how deeply money affects the human mind. Today, we're going to talk about the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Money may not buy happiness, but financial stability can buy freedom from many forms of suffering. And sometimes, peace is more valuable than pleasure. Part 1. Why people say money doesn't matter. Many wealthy people say, money isn't everything. And from a certain perspective, they're right. Once basic needs are met, deeper human fulfillment often comes from relationships, purpose, meaning, health, connection, growth. But there's an important detail. It's easier to think about happiness when survival is no longer the main problem. A person struggling to pay rent, feed a family, escape debt, afford health care, experiences life very differently than someone financially secure. That's why financial stress is so emotionally exhausting. Because it doesn't just affect money. It affects sleep, focus, confidence, relationships, mental health. Scarcity changes the brain. When people are constantly worried about survival, peace disappears. Part 2. The psychology of financial stress. Most people underestimate how much emotional energy financial stress consumes. Imagine waking up every day worried about bills. Every purchase becomes stressful. Every emergency becomes terrifying. Every setback feels dangerous. That pressure slowly drains people emotionally. Research in psychology shows that chronic financial stress can increase anxiety, depression, relationship conflict, poor decision-making, emotional exhaustion. Why? Because the brain under stress focuses on immediate survival. Long-term thinking becomes harder. That's why poverty often creates cycles. Not because poor people lack intelligence, but because constant stress narrows focus. When your mind is overwhelmed trying to survive today, planning for 10 years later becomes difficult. This is why financial peace matters. Because peace creates mental space. And mental space changes behavior. Part 3. Money buys options. One thing money absolutely buys is options. And options create freedom. Think about it. Money can allow someone to leave a toxic environment, afford health care, move to a safer place, take time to learn skills, rest without panic, support family, recover from emergencies. Those things matter deeply. A financially secure person can make decisions differently. Not necessarily because they're smarter, but because fear controls them less. That's powerful. Because fear influences behavior more than most people realize. Many people stay trapped in bad situations because they simply cannot afford change. So when people say money doesn't matter, what they often mean is, beyond a certain point, money alone does not guarantee fulfillment. And that's true. But lack of money can absolutely create suffering. Part 4. The difference between pleasure and peace. Many people chase money hoping it will create happiness. But often what they truly want is relief. Relief from stress. Relief from uncertainty. Relief from survival pressure. That's not the same as chasing luxury. There's a major difference between pleasure and peace. Pleasure is temporary. A new phone. A luxury car. Expensive clothes. Those things create excitement for a moment. Then the feeling fades. But peace is deeper. Peace is sleeping without panic. Having savings. Knowing emergencies won't destroy you. Having control over your time. Feeling stable. That emotional stability is incredibly valuable. And financial security often plays a major role in creating it. Part 5. Why some rich people are still miserable. Now let's be honest. Money alone does not solve internal emptiness. There are wealthy people who are lonely, depressed, addicted, emotionally lost, deeply unhappy. Why? Because happiness is more complicated than income. Human beings need meaning, connection, purpose, identity, emotional health. Money can improve conditions, but it cannot replace emotional fulfillment. This is why some people become rich, yet still feel empty. They spent years chasing external success while neglecting internal peace. And eventually they discover something shocking. You can own everything and still feel lost. Part 6. Poverty romanticism is dangerous. Sometimes society romanticizes struggle. People say things like, "You don't need money to be happy." Again, partially true. But there's danger in pretending financial struggle is noble. Constant stress damages people. There's nothing beautiful about chronic anxiety, survival panic, insecurity, watching opportunities disappear because of lack of resources. Financial stability matters, not because wealth makes someone superior, but because security creates breathing room. And breathing room allows people to think, grow, heal, and create. This is why many people are not actually chasing luxury. They're chasing peace. Part 7. What real wealth looks like. Social media often portrays wealth as extravagance. Luxury cars, private jets, designer brands. But real wealth often looks quieter. Real wealth may simply mean no constant panic, time freedom, healthy relationships, the ability to rest, the ability to choose, stability. A person with moderate income and peace of mind may actually be richer than someone making millions while emotionally collapsing. Because wealth without peace becomes another prison. This is why many successful people eventually shift priorities. At first, they chase status. Later, they chase calm. Because eventually people realize inner peace is one of the rarest luxuries in the modern world. Part 8. Money as a tool. The healthiest way to view money is as a tool. Not an identity. Not proof of worth. Not the meaning of life. A tool. Money can increase comfort, reduce stress, create opportunities, protect against emergencies, expand freedom. But it should support life, not replace it. When people worship money emotionally, they often sacrifice health, relationships, morality, peace of mind, trying to fill emotional emptiness with material success. But balance matters. Money is powerful. Ignoring its importance is unrealistic. But believing money alone creates happiness is equally dangerous. Wisdom exists between those extremes. Part 9. The real goal. The real goal is not simply becoming rich. The real goal is creating a life where survival fear no longer controls you. You have time to breathe. You can focus on meaningful things. You are emotionally stable. You feel free. Money helps create conditions. But your inner life still matters. Because eventually every person discovers something important. External success means very little without internal peace. And internal peace becomes difficult when constant financial stress is destroying your mind. That's why financial stability matters. Not because it guarantees happiness, but because it removes many obstacles standing in the way of peace. Money cannot buy genuine happiness, but it can absolutely reduce unnecessary suffering. It can create safety, options, freedom, stability, and sometimes, those things matter more than temporary excitement, because happiness comes and goes. But peace changes how you experience life itself. The ability to sleep calmly, to think clearly, to make decisions without constant fear. That is powerful. So maybe the goal is not becoming obsessed with money. Maybe the goal is building enough financial stability that fear no longer controls your entire existence. And from that place of peace, perhaps real happiness has a better chance to grow. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more deep lessons on money, psychology, wealth, and human behavior. And in the comments, answer this question. Do you believe money buys happiness, peace, or neither? Sometimes the answer reveals how we truly see life.